Lovely Brice from Esoteric Atlanta and I are back again for our Discover Your Passion series. And this is one of my friends that I have wanted to get on this series right as soon as the idea came into my head. So this is Arunas. Arunas, I cannot still, after all these years, pronounce your surname. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the listeners.
Yes, I'm Arunas Matacius, a human. And when you it was very funny when you asked to do about the passion, I was trying to think, okay, how to name one passion. And I think the one that I can kind of put like everything in one place is like, I think the first thing, I'm father, and that's I think the biggest passion I have. I think there's a life before you have a kids and life when you have a kids. So if you would have this talk like many years ago, I would talk probably different passions, but right now I'm name, surname, and father, first of all.
I'm so with you on that. And even though my children are a lot bigger than yours at the moment, and I think one of the things that all three of us on here really share is when we talk about being a parent, we're also talking about being a parent to our four-legged and furry friends as well. And as you know, I take that very seriously, and you do too.
Yeah, I have this saying, and actually even in business and in real life, I never trust people. It doesn't matter it's a business or personal, that those ones who don't love pets, or they say they don't like them, they hate them, or I mean, those ones who say I hate them, I think they're mentally ill, first of all. But apart from that, I really don't trust, and I try to avoid these people. And it doesn't matter if maybe it's commercial, not like wise, but on the long run, I think it's just beneficial. I never trust people who don't love pets, and in essence, that's probably extension, don't love kids eventually.
Yeah. Well, there's a quote, like, I don't know who said it, like, you know, I don't trust a person who doesn't like a dog, but I trust a dog who doesn't like a person.
Exactly. Yeah. So pets is a big part of the life as every human being, you know, or life being. It doesn't matter. I think in general, I mean, if you love life as it is, we have to accept everyone in it. And there's a lot of things in life, you know, live or not even live. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think this is where it comes from. You know, if you just enjoy living, that's already a big win, I think, in life. Because I mean, recently we just bombarded with the sad news, frightening news, sad, frustrated, lost people. I mean, I would just stop today, you know, with somebody in the kindergarten say, hey, please wear a mask, because it's still obligatory till Wednesday. I said, well, listen, that's stupid. So on Wednesday, the virus is gone or what, you know? So the people are just lost in many ways and I think they lost the joy of living. Because I mean, at the end of the day, whatever I do in my life, I have one rule that I try to measure. I mean, does it make us happy? Does it give something to life? Because what's the end of the goal? I mean, what's the end goal for everyone? I think many people don't ask that. You know, they just do things. And I said, okay, what's the end goal? Why do you do that? You know, why you want like to be successful? Why you want to X amount of cash? Because of some amount of cash, you're happier. You're just making more problems. So people don't ask about that. So I think whatever, you know, you do, ask, you know, will it make you a bit more happy? And every evening you go to sleep, you just be grateful whatever you had in that day. That's it. And that's the recipe of being happy. Just don't give a shit, you know, about a lot of things. Try to care about your family first. And then if you take care of that, maybe you can take care about somebody else later. But that's already a lot. And if you have a couple of kids, one wife, I mean, even having one wife is just a hell of a job, you know, to have it. Because, you know, like I think it's like statistically every second couple, you know, getting divorced. So everyone who's living in a marriage, not getting divorced, I think you are the winner. I mean, you have to realize that. I mean, because this is, and by the way, there's a stats that married people, or I think it was about men, maybe those ones who are in marriage are 77% more successful than, I mean, in money wise, even in capital, that those ones who are single or divorced. So that's yes, that's actually true. Men who got married getting 77% on average wealthier.
Wow.
Well, because the woman has a lot of, you know, requests, you know, like a lot of high heels, you know, makeup, travel, whatever.
dogs, guinea pigs, horses.
Whatever country, you know, you are different needs, but yes, all in all. But so what I would say, you know, it's a big win, you know, to live with the people. I mean, because we are born here, you know, in this world with the two rules: either you compete or you cooperate. There's no other chance you're gonna live it. So sadly, majority of the couples or families live in competition, in all fights or whatever you call it, and that's sad part. I mean, this, I think the biggest one is to live in cooperation and to, how to say, to in community. I mean, personal, community level, country level, planet level. You can go nuts, but I think it's enough, you know, to live healthy with your wife first. And then with the kids, don't get mad, don't get screaming, don't get nuts. You know, of course, we're all weakened humans, but all in all, that's already a lot. And I don't think, well, I don't understand why people want more. I mean, that's already enough. What else you're missing? If you're missing something in your family, that's a big question, I think.
So that's a good point. I've been together with Mark for 36 years. Gosh, does he deserve a medal, Arunas? Because Arunas and I have had the pleasure of actually working with each other. Which we'll come on to in a minute. But I think one of the things, I met Arunas at this, just before I met Timo. A lot of you on my channel know Timo because we do the Vibrant Animal team together. And Arunas is in Lithuania. Had some great trips over to Lithuania when I was allowed in. But
you're already allowed again. So
good. But, you know, one of the things that the three of us really shared, and we bashed heads quite a lot, but we also shared a lot and achieved a lot, was passion for life, didn't we? That was clear, right?
I think in general, it's kind of a positivity, you know, it doesn't matter what hits you, you know, it's still, I mean, if you find these ways that make you happy, I mean, again, I think people are really attached to things that are not making them happy and they're thriving them. And this is, I think there was what Morgan Freeman said, like we're spending too much time, you know, on, for example, clothes to impress people that we don't like, you know, but I have family, you know, to feed first, not like to impress people who I don't care. So I think the biggest, you know, if you really don't give a fuck about like everybody else, apart from people, just people who you care, and there's already a lot of passion, you know, to do that, you know, it's kind of make these people happy. There's a saying, maybe it's in Eastern Europe, we say like, you would see successful men if you're gonna look at his woman. So I mean, if the woman is happy, if she's smiling, you know, she shines, then means you're successful in that way, and that makes a lot of sense, you know. But I have no idea how to make anything without the passion, you know. You have to have it. You have to have this drive, and honestly, I have no idea how to achieve that. I mean, there's nobody trained that. I think there's maybe somebody's born with that. Somebody's just fighters in genes, and they're doing that, because I have no idea why my life is so hectic, you know, and I have in many situations, weird ones. I would never wish that for my kids, because I was in situations there, I think, well, I could die many times, I believe, you know, because that wasn't really safe situations. But all in all, it made the, you know, person who I am. I mean, I was in very bad situations and very good situations, but I'm still the same positive. So probably it's already, your people are born with that, I believe. Some of them, you know, are born like really melancholic and everything's bad, you know, like for them.
Yeah, we have a saying here: happy wife, happy life.
Yes. No, that I mean, everyone has problems. We have to face it. There's no one pill is gonna make your marriage happy. There's no pill you're gonna learn Chinese, you know. There's no pill, you know, you're gonna earn 1 million, you know. I mean, you have to struggle, I mean, and every day. But when you accept that, okay, there's no easy way, you know, and everybody hustles. I know in the business, you know, everybody says, oh, there's a startups there, oh, they're raising money, they're successful, blah blah blah. I mean, statistically, only I think 10% of business raise at least 1 million, you know, that somebody would invest in them. So it's a big hustle, you know. There's 90% like really people sad and frustrated and, you know, disappointed and etc. That doesn't stop probably of doing something, because as you know, statistically successful entrepreneurs are over 40s, you know, so, or over 50s even, you know, so because they learn the hard lesson that there's no easy way, you know, there's no magic, you know, it's just hard work. And but if you can enjoy, you know, of doing that, that's the point. I think this is the passion, you know. So some years ago, I don't know how many years ago, I decided not to make money just as a money, or to do something that I really would like. And as Catherine said, you know, the current, venture that's, is accident company. It shouldn't be. I was living happy life, spending winters in Ibiza, working as a consultant, having no big commitments to companies, having really good salaries. I mean, but eventually, this problem came up, and I saw its problem, and then shit got the fan. I call, you borrow the money, you blah blah blah, then you have to do something, and eventually this challenges makes, things happen, and makes you, how to say, better. I think, you learn something, you meet amazing people like Catherine, Timo, other guys. And I think this is the beauty. When you have the idea behind whatever you're doing, you're attracting the right people. It's a well, I don't know.
Catherine told me a little bit about how you created your business, and I thought it was so beautiful, because talk about passion. Can you explain to the audience like how you, when you say the shit hit the fan, like
yeah, shit got the fan when I borrowed the money, so that means you need to.
Well, start back about when your dog was ill, because when we first spoke and everything. So just give the listeners, because for me there's so many lessons I've learned in this process. So your dog was really ill, and you were told by the conventional vets there was nothing you could do. So just
correct.
what you did with that.
Exactly like this. Had some health problems. Vet said, okay, you have to sleep him down, or eventually it's gonna degrade and die. And yeah, that was really like sad, frustrating. I mean, you have no idea what to do, and lost. And I said, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I started researching a lot, online. I found this. On this specific disease, there was a couple of things, I can do. Some of them were not accessible here. It was like cold laser therapies, then some different drugs, and then was changing your nutrition. And then it was like, what is this about nutrition? Why should I change nutrition? It's like vets said, to feed this premium kibble, breeders said the same. And then, when I started researching more and more, and this is probably where my science education, I have math, educate, and then it's like, okay, facts, and okay, I'm really paranoid in a lot of things. When people say something, I don't believe them, I have to check, if it's a true or. And when I
that's a good quality. That's a good quality. We wouldn't be where we are globally right now if more people had that initiative.
Yeah,
so.
there's a one saying I read for some big CEO, I think it was Intel CEO, said like every successful entrepreneur has to be paranoid, so it's kind of, you're paranoid about everything, like, so this feature is kind of good, you're trying to check the facts, is it true, and try to check different sources, so and then when I found that changing to go to raw diet, it might help a dog. And then as he was a chubby and he barely walked, so I decided to implement him keto diet, because I was experimenting at that time on ketogenic diets. It's kind of the easiest way in a short term to lose weight. And that's actually where the name was born, like raw keto. So it's raw ketogenic diet. And I decided to do that. I had no idea how to make it. I had no idea how to make recipes, and there was kind of really chain of accidents. I think that somebody on email, wrote that, oh, it's a nice idea. There was some distributor in Netherlands. I said, I know some vet who would be interested, and I called this vet. He's Timur Khan. I phoned him. I said, listen, your recipe is shit. I said, well, okay, make it better. I said, okay, let me try. This is how it started. And then I remember, I was in the car that I saw somebody's calling me from United Kingdom. I said, what is that? And then I picked up, and there's the Catherine. I said, oh, I have this kind of business here. I distribute like a lot of supplements. I said, oh, your food looks amazing. Like, how can I buy it? And I said, oh, okay. I just have some first batches done. And this is how we met with Catherine. So it was really, I think that when you have an idea, the universe has its own plan. And then this pandemic is really weird, So I'm kind of, okay, I can tell that honestly. I mean, I'm a bit like a COVID skeptic, correct? Not COVID, but this whole big, propaganda skeptic.
I think we're same.
Yeah.
But and we have to be careful with how many times we say that, because it's
But the thing is, what happened? It's I barely find different type of people attractive. We went on holidays, for example, in Spain, correct? And we rent an apartment from Swedish guy who said, I would never take this rat shit, blah blah blah. I said, listen, how bizarre it is. I cannot find the different type of people to have a proper discussion. I attract only people like it's anywhere in the part of Europe. And we met some like other people, you know, for example, in Spain, and you're kind of always afraid to have this topic. And eventually you find out that they're similar minded, you know. And I said, where are these other people? How do I find them? I mean, of course, I can find them on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. But actually, we cut all our advertising on Facebook and Instagram for multiple reasons. First of all, you know, I mean, this when this whole lie came up, I think it's really how to call it. Well, let's be honest. I don't want to pay somebody who has completely different values. It doesn't matter. I don't think that this money that even would come from there, I would feel good. Again, we will come back to the same moment. I mean, it doesn't make you feel good. So I would like to pay, you know, our customers more, you know, or give them bigger discount, because this is who are making business. They are not, Facebook is not making me a business, you know. By the way, there was only one good discussion with my daughter, because she said, listen, why cannot have, you know, Instagram? She's like, she is asking to have a phone. I said, wait, no, you're not going to. She's 7. So I said, no, you're not going to have a phone. None of the TikToks, nothing, you know, not Instagram. I said, oh, but why do you buy advertising on Instagram, you know, for a business? And I said, yeah, good question. Okay, I'm going to stop buying Instagram you know, advertising. And this is, you know, this is the
babes.
No, but I mean, this was rule. Okay, I said, you're not going to have an Instagram because it's officially released that Facebook, you know, hidden this, you know, research how Instagram is damaging, you know, psychologically young teenager girls. So I said, okay, you're not going to have an Instagram, and then I'm going to stop paying, you know, for Instagram, you know, in my business. So, and that's, I think, what makes life, you know, in purpose. Again, you know,
there a bit, because you're the only person I know, you and Timo, that can talk more than Brice and I can, which is quite an achievement. But I think that's such an important point. I just want to have a little discussion on that, because the whole way through this scenario, everyone has been talking about do your own research. Well, that's exactly what you did, and you decided you were going to do something about it. Everyone's been talking about, if you want to change the world, you've got to get off your backside and change it yourself and do it. And, you know, your daughter, who's 7, says to you, well, why are you advertising on Instagram? You're like, well, good point. I'm going to stop it. And you made that decision to do it. And it's really important, isn't it, Brice, that people do make those changes?
It's integrity. It's you know, a lot of parents will say, do as I say, not as I do. But really, kids are watching what you're doing, and they're learning from you, not what you're saying. And I just like, when Catherine told me about your dog, you know, and I grew up with, my father's a veterinarian, so I grew up with a lot of dogs. We had all sorts of animals growing up, and I know for me with my dog, like I would literally give my life for my dog. I would take a bullet for my dog. And that is the scariest thing when you become a dog parent, is knowing that their lifespan is not going to last as long as yours. And doing everything you can to prolong that for them, and how amazing that is, that just by changing his diet, you completely course corrected his future.
It's not only that. I think Catherine told me once, you know, in some part of it, like we also started, when we started doing this one, you know, and selling to more and more people, Catherine noticed some kind of side effect, we call it, that humans has also started changing their diet because they saw, you know, the effect of nutrition, you know, of clean ingredients, you know, calibrated diets, you know, clean diets, and then say, okay, maybe I should change my life, because look, my dog is getting better. Because to be honest, you know, usually dogs are a reflection of pets, you know. So in that case, yeah, it's really powerful, you know, when you see, I mean, all in all, I think the pets are, I mean, just some kind of a miracle in life, you know. Dogs especially, Catherine is a cat person, so she can talk about cats.
Dogs and horses.
But you're officially in the United Kingdom called the cat person, so cat queen, correct? But dogs, I mean, the only one animal on the planet who would love his owner without any judgmental, you know. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can be, I don't know, like zombie or vampire, you know, he's still gonna love you, you know? So yeah, so I think this is just, you can learn so much things, you know, about that. And honestly, they heal, you know. I had really bad moments, you know, in my life, and dogs really make a huge difference. I mean, mentally, psychologically, they are really powerful. Their energy vibes, they know how to heal, you know. And And yeah, so I think there's this saying that every person around has always to have three other persons. One who always listens, the other one who listens and encourage you to do whatever stupid things you want to do, and the third one who listens and always judge you, and criticize you. So just spoiler alert, you shouldn't marry the person who the third one. So but apart from that, so you should always find these people, and you have them. If you just start thinking about that, you would name this person probably already in your head. Okay, this one is this one is that. So I think dogs are always playing this role, that they always listen to you and they don't comment you. It's just they listeners. And I remember when my parents got a dog, my mother, she talks like radio. I mean, so when you think I'm talking much, no, she is like nonstop. She could have a like 24/7 radio podcast, and because we learned that, how to say, feature that we almost learn how not to listen people. I think I learned from her, because there's so many noise always going on. And when she got a dog, she's like relieved, because there's somebody at least listening to her 24/7, like. so yeah, poor dog. but in that case, I think, yeah, dogs are just like, they don't judge, and we really lack of in humans that they just listen, and they honestly, deeply don't judge you, don't criticize you, just listen, and really deeply, honestly, are okay who you are. It doesn't matter whatever you do, it's just they're okay who you are. And this is, I think, the definition of friends. It doesn't matter how weird you are, or what kind of maybe stupid things you are doing. They don't judge you, and they don't care, because this is who you are. This is why we became friends, because you have your all bad things and good things, and this is what makes you as you. And you're gonna start eliminating the, let's say, bad things. It's not going to be you anymore. It's going to be a different person. And maybe I don't want to be a friends with this person who's just only doing good things. So I think the dogs really can learn humans just, to be around the other human without any, I don't know, agenda. It's just to be around the person.
Oh, for sure. They'll live with you in a cardboard box. They just want to be with you. That's all. They just want to be with you. And I feel like my dog's like, I consider my dog one of my soulmates. There's that little soul is connected to mine. He's also one of Catherine's soulmates too, but my dog has a very big crush on Catherine. So,
he's from India, Arunas. Brice's dog's from India.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a rescue. Well, he's not a rescue. He was rescued, and I've brought back now 6 other dogs from India to the United States.
Yeah. So Catherine has from Romania. I have from Latvia. So we all have
traveling dogs.
Immigrants.
Yes.
Really, really interesting. I've got 3 Romanians I live with, because I've got Lola, Indy, and Idris. And it is really interesting, because when you get animals, I've also got a pony that lived wild for the first 4 years of his life. And it's just really amazing. It's a very different energy, isn't it, Brice and Arunas? When you've got an animal that has had to fend for itself for however short a period of time, that's been worn out, it brings a very, very different energy to perhaps what we as westernized humans, well, talking about Brice and I there, have. And I think this is what I've noticed a difference in you, Arunas, coming from Lithuania and having a different upbringing. You've got that real, out of everyone I know, you're the person that just doesn't give up.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably in the Western world know very little, about the period when we were in Soviet. So officially, I'm born in Soviet Union, and then till 11, then we got independence in 1991, and then on 2000 something we got onto European Union. So change between the Soviet Union and independent Lithuania was, we called it like wild East, in this whole region. Bombarding, racketeering, kidnapping, so it was really, I was teenager, and yeah, and I was living not even in capital, in the other city, which was completely not safe to live, even considered. And, I remember, in my teenage years, I was doing wrestling, judo wrestling. I was doing championships in Lithuania, etc. And there's these, or let's call it mafia, guys were recruiting in these sports clubs, the teenagers. So I mean, this was the real life for us, it's like you see that these guys are coming and trying to recruit, next generation, Luckily I decided, to go like into the rock music, just kind of complete opposite that they would give away from me. So I was like, okay, I'm into music, I got my, how do you call it, this punk rock, haircut. Yeah, so they would be okay. He's crazy, we're not gonna like disturb him, because I had the these championships in Lithuania, in wrestling, so it's like good potential, to be mafiosi. Well, mafiosi is a nice word to call. It's really like bad guys, really bad guys. And so yeah, so I mean, we were living in shortage, of ingredients. For example, you probably don't realize how it looked like, but we were standing in the queue to buy green bananas, and to put them in a shelf for a week, to get yellow, and then eat them. Or my first Snickers was in 1990, I think, and I cut it in 7 parts, to eat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, blah blah, like per week. So yeah, when you have this kind of life and you can measure now, it's really hard right now to train kids, when they have like I think overwhelmed of things, of everything, on information, things, people, emotions, they have everything. We barely had things, I mean, people, information, even food, and yeah, that's probably make really strong survivals. And in genome level, even, Catherine, for example, our grandparents were in Siberia, so we are already technical generation that our grandparents survived. So we kind of have already strong gene, going. So we are still carrying this survival mode, still. I think this is kind of fading away, and because it's really hard right now to train, or not to learn, to teach kids that like kind of living a bit minimal life, how to live with less things, less people, not friends, but friends is okay, but less junk food, less everything. So that's I think the biggest challenge. And the same in the business as well, you try not to overcomplicate the things, how to minimize, how to think, how you can do it a bit more. Well, I try to avoid this word like sustainably, but let's call it a bit more friendly way in many ways, like how to eliminate waste, how to treat better people you work with, how to make it like somehow that whatever you do, it makes sense, it's the best thing you can do, and and this is what we try, and we try to make the best nutrition it could exist, apart from making it fresh at home. But if it's something you want to be a bit more convenient, you don't have a chance, so this is the best we can do. And I think I told Catherine when we met, I said, if somebody will make a better, I will stop doing that, because I mean, I would like to live with my family, not to run the business, so spending so much time on doing things. But unfortunately, for 3 years that we're doing, nobody has done better. And we kind of, well, we're not stopping, we creating some more and more crazy R&D projects that we work with, and an idea, and somehow nobody's catching up. And that's kind of flattering, that excites my ego. But on the other hand, I said, listen, I want to spend more time with my family, not in the business. So it's always, I think, a balance, the same as we talked about the nature, it's always about the balance. So I think, by the way, so there's a Nordic policy, really good one. I don't know if you heard that. So if you want to get into the, let's say, Swedish community, correct? Like to be, let's say, as a Swedish, there's 3 things how they measure person. So how you spend your time balance between work, family, and hobby. So if you miss one of them, they would say, okay, there's something wrong with you, and try to get. So for example, these people who care about only their career and they have no family, no hobbies, they wouldn't be accepted in community, because there's something wrong with you. You have to have like a family, friends, and you have to have some hobbies, not to get crazy. And that makes a lot of sense for me, how you distribute this time. You have to have them all. And that's why I know, for somebody who says I'm working like 16 hours per day, I have no family, no hobbies, I said, you're a bit like crazy, for me. So yeah, I don't think it's right, and because you have one life, so I mean, you should try to find the balance between these things. And that, again,
to interrupt, but don't you think, Arunas and Brice, that I know, of course, work is work, but when you're really doing something where your why is so strong. So the company, because we haven't really explained what company we're talking about. The company is called Rocketo, and the link below. Unfortunately, it's not available in America, but all throughout sort of Europe and the UK. And what it did is, because Arunas couldn't find something that was good enough commercially available for his sick dog, and he'd seen such a huge change in the dog's condition for nutrition, he decided to start his own company up with it. And I got on board with Arunas because, as a animal parent, but also as a therapist working professionally, I was just so dismayed by the quality of the food, because all my clients were saying, well, what can I feed my dog? What can I feed my cat? And I was like, well, there isn't anything good enough. So, you know, the difference is people like sort of Brice Atlanta, who's like, okay, we've seen something we don't like in the world. We're not going to sit there and moan about it. We're going to do something about it. And do you think that's quite linked to Arunas and Brice to what we're seeing happening globally today?
I mean, as more people would try to do that, exactly it is. I mean, if you can't find it, try to make it, you know, better. But if you cannot make it better, so don't make a problem and don't brag about that. No, it's just simple as that. And people who are complaining that there's something wrong, I mean, make it better if you cannot. So stop shouting about that, and, you know, take it whatever it is.
It's taking you out of that victim mode, which Catherine and I have talked about a lot. It's like, you know, you're okay, so no one provides what you need, so I'll provide what I need. I'll figure it out. And then you're not a victim anymore. You know, it's obstacles are only obstacles if you just leave them as obstacles. If you actually work through them, they become a stepping stone. You know, and I'm sure through the process, through the stress of it, you learned even more about yourself too. There's so much that happens in a journey of doing something like that, you know, the initial start of it, so much more comes into your life that you didn't even expect, because you actually took that step and said, you know what, I'm going to do something about this. So yeah. And I know, I mean, and it's funny you were talking about, I love what you were talking about growing up, how you grew up, because as an American, we're very, very comfortable in our country. And you know, my niece and nephews have all the electronics in the world, and, you know, the house full of toys. And but it's funny with the street dogs from India, and I'm sure you see this in like the room, any street dog, the ones that make it to adulthood, they're all so freaking healthy for the most part, because of the survival, because they've had to survive. And I know for the Indian street dogs who are brought inside, they can live up to 20 years old. You know, the streets, they might get taken out early because of a car accident or, you know, worms or something like that. But it's because of that they have that instinct of survival, and humans should have that as well. I don't know how good the Western world is with that at the time, but
Brice, I think first of all, and Catherine can confirm that. I think first of all, you know, India, or let's say even our wild East, I call it, you know, we were so there's two things, correct, why humans or pets are not healthy. Is that first, you know, is bad nutrients. There's no food in the food anymore, correct? Like we eating something, but it's not technically food. And then second thing is we live in too sterile environment. And I think and, you know, I mean, born and raised, I think in India, you're getting exposed with so many, I think you train the immune system with so many viruses and bacteria that getting into this any part of the other world, you're just bulletproof, you know, because you're so. And there's actually a study in Finland. I know it's not yet published, but they experimented with the kindergartens, and they brought in some kindergartens the sandbox, but made from soil from wild woods, just black soil. And those ones, kindergartens who had this sandbox with a wild soil, had improved the immune system by 70%. So it's direct correlation, you know. And I think when you said, yes, we lived in that world, nobody cared, you know, we got injured, we got, you know, dirty all the time, you know. And I think that's why we pretty healthy as it is, because we didn't have enough we didn't eat too many food, because we haven't had access, you know. We haven't had access to sugar, for example. I remember we had one sugar bag, 20 kilos, in a cellar, in a basement. and I was going, to pick up once a week, some cup, of sugar to the apartment, So it wasn't accept. I mean, you had to have some kind of, I don't remember, some kind of paper notes or some prescription from government to get a sugar, which right now would be the most logic, I think, decision in government level, to have limited access to sugar, processed sugars, correct?
And
But
it's the same for our pets, isn't it, Arunas? I mean, you've been to stay with me, and one of the problems that you and I had when we were working with the dog health and everything was the lack of exercise that they get. So someone said that, they exercise their dog a day, and they might mean half an hour around the block. And then you came and saw mine, and you're like, well, they're more like working dogs because they go miles, and so do I, because I like to eat, as everyone knows me knows I like to eat, and I love to exercise as well. But this balance is so wrong. What you were saying reminds me so much when I was speaking to my mum and dad. Both my parents grew up in London so they were born in the Second World War, and my dad just before the start of it, my mum during it. And they did not have sugar. They didn't have excess. They were out, as a child, I was out in the woods the whole time, getting mucky, eating a sound of things. And as a consequence, we're so robust. But our pets are taken out of nature so much now, aren't they?
Yeah, and we are actually, I mean, we are part of the nature. I mean, people forgot. I mean, simple thing, is to ground yourself, just to put the bare feet on the soil, that's simple as that. But that's, I mean, and people just don't realize. I mean, yes, you see. So, and even though, people forget how magical it is, to pee on the grass, how much, you get, like, you're giving something back that you received from nature. It's simple as that. It could sound like stupid, but it is really powerful, and when you said, our all vacations we didn't have an access, our borders were closed, we wouldn't be allowed to move outside, anywhere, Soviet Union. So we spent only nature, from 3 years. Every summer we were brought, with canoes, like boats, So till I was 15, so like 10, 12 years in a row, and every weekend, it's somewhere, fishing, going, hiking, walking. So and now, is really, I think, people lost, the track of being in the planet, it is. We live in hospitals, it's super clean. We clean up everything, In this pandemics, when everybody said, to sterilize the hands, I asked my kids to get dirty.
Yeah.
I never did this sterilizers.
Well,
Never in these 2 years.
My grandfather was a surgeon, and he used to tell my mom all the time, because I was the first grandchild, go let her eat dirt. Let her eat dirt. And I've said that, Catherine, I've said this before, I think you even said this morning, like, I feel like my generation here in America was like the last generation to really have a proper childhood, because we didn't have the internet. We spent all summer, we were on our bikes in the neighborhood. We were swimming in and out of the rivers. We would be in the coast with my mom's family, like drinking that water. We didn't wear sunscreen. We were skinning our knees and just like, no one is putting Neosporin on it. They were just kind of letting it be skinned, and it was a very different childhood than what you see now. And I will say, going to India, I've been obviously many times, but I've been in Indian hospital twice. And I always give myself like a week there before, because I know I'm going to get sick. I don't take any of these. Yeah. I just go and let myself get sick. Yep. And the last time I was there, I got real sick, and I swear it was like a spiritual experience, because there's a beauty in allowing your body to embrace a virus or something, a bacteria, and letting your body work through it. There's something that happens, and it's like we've been taught to fear that now. When I was a kid, getting the chicken pox was like a rite of passage. You just got them. Yeah. Like, it wasn't that, you just got them. And that was that, there was no fear around it. Just get it and get it over with,
Brice, I mean, you're talking with my lips. I mean, I'm actually getting I'm trying to get more infected with different things as much as I can, because this is how we train immune system. This is how we make stronger. I mean, if you want to train muscle, you go to the gym. How do you train your, being responsive to, to train on viruses and bacteria? You just have to interact with them and suffer. For some time you have to suffer. I mean, nobody cares that you go to gym and like you're screaming, you're red and sweating, and you're technically breaking up your muscles. So the same supposed to be, it's not some injections or pills is gonna save it. You have to train and completely, you know, with you on the same page. I'm trying to do the same, and I'm trying to learn. I mean, I think it's the matter about the quantity, you know, you're getting. And the same, my herbalist, you know, always say, you know, the same plant, for example, it's a medicine and poison at the same time.
Absolutely.
It's just message about dosage. So it's the same about viruses and bacteria. It's about the dosage, you know. So we train the kids as well. We try to put them in a social environment as much as we can. And when we see they got something, we bring them, you know, allocate, isolate, you know, and try to work on a small scale, you know, this virus, bacteria, whatever they got it. But we try to put them as much as we can, not like, okay, please, I'm going to isolate. We're not living in a vacuum. And yes, I think we are still probably the generation that still has this survival, you know, mode and enjoys, you know, being infected with bacteria, viruses, you know, and everything, and kind of feel kind of a bit like I don't call it sadomasochism, but it's kind of making, I think for me itself, it makes me feel good afterwards, because okay, I trained a bit something in my body, you know, it's okay, it learned something, it's fine. I mean, I think when you still have this passion to learn in different perspectives, like mentally, physically, and so I think it makes joy, you know, and I honestly, I like to let my body learn to fight different things. So it's kind of a hobby.
Got your t-shirt on, Brice?
Oh, sorry? Yes, I do.
Right, so this is Brice's birthday present from me, and Brice and I do these little series, little things. So the more I learn, the less I know. And
exactly,
this is what we've been just having such fun with, haven't we, over the last couple of years, Brice? Just like, it's so refreshing to just keep in that open questioning and get the feedback and then adjust accordingly. It's just absolutely fantastic. You know, I should have learned a little bit more by my age with alcohol.
Oh, by the way, Catherine, there is a study, you know, that's why I think my wife is always right now. When she read, she said, okay, that's why I'm drinking wine every evening, you know, so because there is direct correlation with the COVID resistant, you know, if you drink a red wine. So she likes also on CBD, you know, she's like, oh, okay, you know, magic candies are really powerful. So
I'm big. It's every time for us, and I'm afraid, and there's a big difference, you know. I get so many comments about, oh, alcohol's evil, it lowers your vibration. Well, no, because it will resonate to the vibration we're at, and anyone who's seen me after a glass of wine knows it doesn't lower my vibration.
Listen, I have this really powerful medicine. I think I gave you, it's very local here. It's called like a tincture from wormwood. So it's,
yes, that's right. Yeah.
So it's 47 degrees. But every time I feel something, let's say, okay, I caught something, because you probably learned the same, you know, and Catherine and Brice, you know, because when you're getting more interfered with this pathogens, correct, in the world, you learn the body to listen, and then you kind of know straight away, okay, I have something, you know, it could be very minor, but you have this, okay, I have something, and you start to treating as soon as possible. So this wormwood tincture always helps, you know. I get it like 40 grams, cup of tea, you know, in the evening, next morning nothing, but that's, I mean, I say, okay, this alcohol, but alcohol is great distributor of active elements. Actually, it's still used in the medicine, alcohol, just to deliver at cell level faster. So you're not kind of, and the same, Catherine, about the wine, you know, it's powerful polyphenols, you know, tannins, you know, you should have them.
And all in moderation. And you've hit the nail on the head, both of you, in terms, it's about listening to your body and what's right for you, because, you know, one man's poison is another man's medicine. As you know, I work with zoopharmacognosis, self-medication. Every animal on the planet can do it, apart from most humans, because we've started engaging too much with here and what we think we know, and overriding listening to our bodies. But, you know, if you were to take the wormwood when you were really healthy, it might not be great for you, but when you're taking it, and this is where this tuning in with the ancient wisdom that everyone who lives in lots of places on the planet, apart from in the civilized world, I say that in very much inverted commas, they know all this, you know. My grandma knew all of this.
Well, it's like down here in the South, when you have a sore throat, it's common to get a hottie toddy. That's what they're called. It's a warmed whiskey drink with like honey in it.
Yeah, it's Scottish. Yeah, I could tell you a recipe. It's actually sold. You can buy it in Scotland. It's 40, 50 grams of Scottish whiskey. It's ginger, lemon, hot water, and you drink it. And
Yeah. They give
that's
it to kids. I mean, I don't know nowadays. There's Big Brother is always monitoring. But when we would get as kids, they would give it to us. Like that was what that my mother they had a housekeeper that worked in her house, and when my mother was a teenager, one day she had really bad cramps and she came home from school early, and the housekeeper just brought her a bottle of whiskey to do with it. So I mean, it's and I agree with you, Catherine, because I'm not a big drinker because I'm up so early in the morning, but I'm not against drinking, and I do drink socially, and every time I drink, I'm happy as a lamb. I'm giggly. I'm having fun. I think it hits you where you are.
Where you are, yeah. If you're gross, obviously it makes you gross. But I think also this fascination that we've got now with labeling everything and everyone with good, bad, and life doesn't work like that. We won't get on to 50 Shades of Grey. That's a different conversation. But I think it's very important to keep this fun, open minds. I mean, God, we've had so many conversations, haven't we, Arunas, about everything, and you, Timo, and I, and it's a competition about who can get a word in edgeways. But it's so fascinating, isn't it? There's so much to learn. There's so much to experience. And what I love about you is you sort of very much about, you don't sit there crying over spilled milk, as we'd say. You get on with it, and if you don't like it, you change it.
Yeah. Just one thing, when we talked about this, listening to the body, I think that the next, how to say, challenge is to learn, also to listen to the other people. I think this is what we really, really miss. And I think this is the secret of every relationship, whatever it's your personal relationship, a social relationship, intimate relationship. But I think this is, I think this is the biggest challenge, because again, we are trying to pretend that we know a lot, and your teacher says, at all, as more you learn, as more you're getting confused, what you have learned and what you know. So I think the listening to people as well. I mean, you learn to listen to your body, you have to learn to listen to other people. And the last thing is to listen to your intuition, which is, I think it just makes some miracles if you start listening. And actually, there's a lot of scientific books written about that, how the biggest, CEO, whatever it is, how they make decisions, and they start training their intuition, because, you can't often value the propositions on your table when they all look like logically the same. And then you have to point to some. So I think these learnings of all three dimensions, is what we should strive, to see, because again, our mind is the weakest between, intuition, instincts, it's our, how to say, that's frightening, not to let your mind, rule your life. But I think that's I think when you step in a bit to the zone where you don't know, I think this is what makes you better. Because to be honest, this is what I learned in science studies, because science is everybody usually thinks that science is very pragmatic, but it's opposite. They are biggest dreamers. Scientists say that, okay, there's a line, and we believe there's something above the line. Well, mortal people, they just believe whatever it's scientifically proved below the line. But scientists say, okay, there's something above the line, and try to raise the bar, eventually. And I think this is really important. If you don't have a courage, to go into the territory which is frightening and maybe dark, could be, or whatever it is, you just have no idea what it is, but you have to step it. And the same, interaction with a different, you go to India, that you're going to be exposed with God knows what, but you're still doing that, and that makes you stronger. That makes you more excited, about life. Of course, as I said, danger is always could be real, but fear is your personal decision. How you consider the danger. But I mean, if you're smart enough and you are not putting you in like really, really high danger situation, you kind of have to know yourself, what you can do and how much. That's I think what you should generally doing, kind of forcing you, putting you a bit of a discomfort, and try to do something. But again, I mean, we are humans, we're lazy. I learned the lesson, as more talented people are, they're more lazy. because they can afford that.
Yeah.
So in that case, just don't judge yourself too much. I mean, life is long, don't overcomplicate, don't stress too much, just enjoy every moment. And if there's a people who you can share this, excitement about life, that's already a win.
So
sure.
before we finish, oh my goodness, we could talk about so much else, but are there any ways that people can support? I mean, obviously we haven't really spoken about the business side of things because that wasn't what it was about, but you're at a crucial time with Rocketo. Is there any way that people can support you? Yes.
In US, okay, we probably can ship supplements because they are herbal blends, so they can come to our online. But probably the most one, they can join our crowdfunding, because first time ever we decided that we would be open for a community. Again, this is the same decision that say we're not gonna donate money to the big guys, but we're gonna let our customers and community to be part of it, because again, it wasn't supposed to be a company, so it's supposed to be structured a bit differently. So we're launching a crowdfunding campaign on Crowdcube, but I think even US citizens are allowed to invest. I should double check that, but for sure everyone from Europe can do that. But I think the US citizens as well are allowed, to invest. Anything from £10, is already investment.
Yeah, well, and I have people that watch my channel from all over the world too. So for sure. And yeah, I do crowdfunding when we go to India. I work in the slums as well as rescue dogs. And so we always do crowdfunding, and all of the proceeds go, and it's like $1, $2. It goes a long way when everybody's participating together. So for sure, I'm going to include that in my description box as well for you guys to, another saying that Catherine and I love is the Ram Dass saying, we're all just walking each other home. And this is a big example of us walking each other home, is us helping us human beings out versus the other side of this. We're helping each other do this. And you've got an incredible story and incredible business. So I will have that for sure down in the description box below.
Yeah.
Well, I don't ask for that, but anyone, who people think that I again, I learned that we're not asking people. I think the people just who generally believe and want, they do the job anyway, and you would never buy, a trust, I think, so, and that's, why people share. And I have this saying, actually, I always help people pro bono, competitive. I don't care, it's just a good thing. If I think it's a good thing, I would do it. I don't need the reward for that. Just
exactly.
So for me, I think it's really important to train that. And I think you are poor if you're always searching for compensation. I think, if you can afford, just generally to be a good person, I think you will be rewarded eventually anyway. But yeah, so thank you very much. But it's not
I know
Yeah, we know, but
we know
people want to help. Like that they want to help because they, I've learned that on this platform, like most people in this world really want to help people. So, and that's coming from the goodness of their heart, so we will definitely put everything down there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it to Arunas, because I know it's something I'm so passionate about, because there was a massive gap in the market, and my dogs are on it all the time, as well as the home prepared stuff that Timo and I also purport. But the thing is, it's like it's just optional. It's just giving people a choice, and so many of our listeners are just really passionate about really changing the way that the world is run now. And out of all the companies I know, in terms of sort of real ethical connection and everything, it's one hand on heart that I can really, really, really recommend and support. So thank you so much for today. Absolutely fantastic. Any other parting words of wisdom from Arunas first and then Brice?
If you ever can, please come here. We're gonna get some sauna, and you're gonna hear the silence, because this is, I think, what we try to achieve, just get rid of the noise and try just to be in the silence with the people you care about, around.
Fun. And what about you,
Brice? Please come to Lithuania anytime.
It's such great fun. Honestly, I
haven't been to Lithuania. I've been everywhere, and I haven't been to Lithuania. So I would love to come eventually. So once we're able to fly, but yes, my advice would be go eat some dirt.
Yeah, I'm in for that. Go eat
Yeah.
some dirt, go roll in dirt. And we all know animals and nature are the best way to build your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. So thank
Exactly.
you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks, Brice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.